This is a video on how to solve equations. Okay, so we use variables. That's this word, variables, or letters, when we don't know something. So for example, in this equation, it says 2 times something equals 6. So what could x be? What number is x? I'm thinking 3, because I know that 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So therefore x must equal 3. So variables, these things, variables, we can use them when we don't know something and we want to find out what it is. Let's try again. What could x be? 4 times something equals 18. This sounds harder. Or look at this one. 4 times something plus 3 equals 27. So sometimes it's not that easy. So we need a plan. Okay, so here's how we're going to solve equations. Our goal, when we see an equation like this, our goal is to get x alone. We want to get x all by itself on one side of our equation so we can find out what it equals. And to do that, we're going to follow 2 rules. If you want to get rid of something in an equation, you are going to do the opposite operation. And rule number 2, whatever you do to one side, you must do it to the other side. And that's because equations are like scales. They're equal. So an equation could be something as simple as 2 equals 2. It's balanced, we call it. If we added 1 to this side of the equation, whoa, now it says 2 equals 3. That's not true. So in order to always make the equation balanced or equal, whatever you do to one side, you must do it to the other side so that they're always equal to each other. And this first rule, to get rid of something, do the opposite operation, that just helps us get rid of things. So, like if we want to get rid of a 3, what's the opposite of 3? What's the opposite of like positive 3? Negative 3. Because it's going to equal 0. We always want to, sometimes we want to get rid of something. Okay, so keeping in mind those 2 rules, let's try this question up here. So 4x equals 18. Okay. So our equation has 2 sides. It has a left side and a right side. So x is over on the left here. We want it to be alone. But right now there's a 4 with it. So we want to get rid of that 4. How do we get rid of stuff? We do the opposite operation. Okay, so right now, there is a 4 being multiplied by the x. 4 times x. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 4 so that I can get rid of that 4. And then rule number 2, whatever I do to one side, I must do it to the other side. So what happens when we do 4 divided by 4? That equals 1. So we're left with 1x. And then what happens when we do 18 divided by 4? Well, we could leave it like that, or you could divide it and get 4.5. Or you could write that as 9 over 2. So that's how we solve. That's how we figure out, x equals 4.5. Okay, let's try another one. Here's one. 4x plus 3 equals 27. Okay, so here's our two sides. X is on the left. So this x, we're going to get it alone. So we need to get rid of the 3 and the 4. We need to get rid of both things. Oops, I forgot the t. Okay, so always start with your adding and subtracting ones. So how do we get rid of a plus 3? We want to get rid of it because our goal is to get x alone. So to get rid of this plus 3, I'm going to do the opposite operation. I'm going to subtract 3. And then whatever I do to one side, I must do it to the other side. So I'll subtract 3 on both sides. All right, what happens? Plus 3 minus 3? That's 0. So they're gone. So I'm just left with 4x equals 27 minus 3. So 24. Okay, next step. X is still not alone. It still has this 4 here. But now it's 4 times x. So in order to get rid of that 4, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 4. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So what happens to 4 divided by 4? Well, it just equals 1x. And then 24 divided by 4 equals 6. So I just found out that x equals 6. And I could see if that's right. Remember our original equation was 4x plus 3 equals 27. So if I wanted to check that, 4x, I already forget, plus 3 equals 27. So if I wanted to check, I could just substitute 6 for x. So 4 times 6 plus 3. Okay, 4 times 6, 24 plus 3. 24 plus 3, 27. Yes. So that means since I just found out the left side equals 27 and the right side equals 27, I did it right. So x does equal 6. Let's try another one. Okay, let's say we have, let's try a bit of a weird one. Let's say we have 10 equals 2x minus 8. So I just wanted to do this because it doesn't really matter what side things are on. So here we have x on the right side. That's fine. X can stay there. We just want to get rid of the 2 and the minus 8. Okay, so I always start with my adding and subtracting. So how to get rid of a minus 8? Do the opposite. Add 8. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do it to the other side. Okay, so negative 8 plus 8 is 0. So they're gone. So I'm just left with a 2x. 10 plus 8, 18. Okay, next I need to get rid of that 2 in front of the x. Gotta get rid of this 2. It's 2 times x. So what's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I can see 2 divided by 2 is just going to leave me with 1x. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. So now I know that x is equal to 9. It's okay that x is on the right. That's okay. Sometimes we might even have to move an x around. Like what if we had 5x equals 2x minus 21? Okay, so now we have lots of x's. All right, so we've got a left side and we've got a right side. Okay, so we need our x's to all be on one side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this thing. And that's because I don't want to have two separate x's. So I'm going to get rid of that so that I just have x on the left. So how do I get rid of a 2x? Well, actually, okay, sorry, I can't erase that. Well, let me redraw that. Okay, so to get rid of a 2x, I actually subtract 2x. And that's because technically this 2x is kind of like being added to this side. So 2x take away 2x would be 0, right? It's like 2 apples minus 2 apples, no apples. And then whatever I do to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So I'm also going to subtract 2x from the left side. So these are going to go away. And the left side, 5x minus 2x would be 3x. And on the right side, I still have this minus 21 or negative 21. There we go. So at least I have all my x's on one side. But now I need to get rid of this 3. So it's 3 times x. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide by 3. I'm going to divide this side by 3 too. So that gets rid of the 3's and it leaves the x. And negative 21 divided by 3 would be negative 7. And that's how we solve an equation. Always follow those 2 rules.